Marcus J and Ohio Steppin. We're back. Thank you so much for staying with us. 804-447-0601. 804-447-0601. Taking short breaks tonight. We got a lot to get to, and I would just want to kind of start off the segment by reading a comment from the fan page. Hakeem always comes through, listens to us every single week. Hakeem in New Jersey. Appreciate it, brother. I think most of us, and this is Hakeem's comment, I think most of us know Mitt Romney. The whole who is Mitt Romney is a perception created by the media. Mitt really is a moderate center leading Republican, but because the conservative element of the party is so damn powerful and can make or break you, he has to cater to them in order to remain relevant. Anyone in the party has to cater to them if they want to be viable, unless you're John McCain, Olympia Snowe, and a few others. Cross them and your political career is over. Mitt isn't stupid. I somewhat agree with you, Hakeem. My only thing is this. When you run on certain platforms and then you literally etch-a-sketch them and turn around and bold-faced lie about what you said, you know, you said one thing, but then you completely say a different. For example, in the debate, he said that regulations is essential. You have to have regulations, and we need them. Every free economy needs regulations. I'm partially quoting him. But on the stump, he's been saying that regulations restrict freedom. So which one is it, Mitt Romney? I mean, seriously, I get the whole moderate Republican, and I agree with you. He has always been a moderate Republican. If you go back to his record years ago, he used to support abortion. You know, this was a guy who also had a very similar to Obamacare healthcare bill in his home state of Massachusetts. But now all of a sudden, sometimes he says he repealed the whole thing. Sometimes he says he won't. So which one are we getting? And another thing, he was on Hannity, last week on the 4th, the day after the debate, when he talked about the 100%, that he supports, when we know that we had the hidden tape that came out where he talked about how 47% of the country are going to vote for the president because they're basically a bunch of moochers, for lack of a better term. And when he was asked about it initially in September, when those statements first came out, he basically said, hey, look, I wasn't elegant when I said it. I didn't say it kind of in the right way, but yeah, I kind of meant what I said. And then the day after the debate, and then in the debate, he says that he's for 100%. So which one is it, Mitt Romney? Are you for 100% or are you for 53%? Which one is it? So that's kind of what my issue is. I'm not one that's going to bash the guy. You're never going to find me bashing the guy. I'm going to stick to the facts of what he has said before and after. Are you keeping it real or are you not keeping it real? Am I going to call him a liar? Nah, but I will say that he done told some big old fat lies, Pinocchio. So that's kind of how I feel. And I stole that Pinocchio reference from another radio show host that I like to listen to. He's been calling him that. And that's kind of how I feel about him as well. Big Rube is back with us. Big Rube, what are your thoughts so far?
I mean, I think we talked about it. Oh, my mic is on. Sorry. We talked about it a little bit last week. I pretty much thought that I kind of haven't been listening to what y'all were saying. I was knocking out this stuff. But I feel like the president called an audible, because when he pretty much said that, yeah, I'm going to cut taxes for the middle class, that pretty much shocked everybody. So I think at that point in time, he decided the plan that they had, he's just going to throw that out the window, because at that point in time, the lies were coming in full force. So at that point, instead of fighting him and looking like a militant black man, he just kept his cool, did what he was supposed to do, and rolled off to the sunset.
Big bro, that's another point that I wanted to kind of talk about. So, Big Rube kind of gave me a nice segue. This whole militant / angry black man thing, you have a lot of white people in this country who have issues with the angry black man. And I don't feel like I'm crossing any lines or stepping on any toes by saying it like that. It is what it is. You see this when you listen to the pundits speak. They say it. You know what I mean? And not that I need their permission to say it, but we know that there is a strong section of this country who fear a strong, powerful black man. You got 4 of them in this room. What's your thoughts on the the president didn't come out swinging. He didn't attack him on Bain Capital. He didn't attack him on the 47%. He didn't attack him on the bold-faced lies that he told on his tax plan. He didn't attack him pretty much on anything. What's your thoughts on the whole fear of a black man thing?
I will say, just to look back at what Barack Obama is doing, President Obama is doing, to me, like I said, I do believe that it was a strategic move. It was very, very intelligent on his part to allow Mitt Romney once again to dig himself into a hole that he's not going to be able to fill up to get up out of. I mean, you look at it from the point of view as everybody says you always have to look a man in his eyes. Well, obviously, he didn't feel that Mitt Romney was man enough to look in his eyes because he didn't feel that what he was saying was worth giving credence to. So for everyone to sit there and fear a black man, quote unquote, some people, and I've talked to some people who think that Barack should have come out real aggressive and real strong. No, I think he did exactly what he needed to do to make Mitt look like the fool that he is. Excuse me.
Tony, what's your thoughts on the whole fear of black man thing?
Absolutely not. I mean, President Obama is just in that whole angry black man. To me, that doesn't apply in this situation. Like you said, there are 4 strong black men in this room. I don't feel intimidated by any of you. You know, you fight the battles that you need to fight, and you fight them the way that you're supposed to fight them. Yelling and screaming, you know, as we all know at this point in our lives, doesn't really accomplish much. Our president is one who fights with his actions. And I just feel, you know, I agree with Joe, you know, why waste the time and energy on, you know, such foolishness?
Big Rope.
I feel that the president allowed Democrat Romney to seriously do what he needed to do. And I call him that for a reason, because the way he was talking democratically. He was talking like a Democrat. He wasn't talking like a Republican, because, I mean, my thing is the questions that were asked were very nonpartisan questions. But, I mean, yeah, I'm not going to tax. I'm going to cut taxes on the middle class. First of all, you didn't know the 2 words middle class for like 2 weeks ago. You know, first time I ever heard him say middle class was on 60 Minutes, and I was like, middle who? You know who we are? Wow, wake up! I'm glad you woke up and figured out who the rest of us are. You know, he was talking like a Democrat. He was talking like he was Barack Obama, and I laughed at it. I completely laughed at it.
I want to, big bro, you got something?
Yeah, it was funny that Big Roo made that statement, because when they went back and critiqued how many times they actually said lower middle class, lower class, poor. Barack Obama said it one time, I do believe. They said that Mitt said it 3.
I think they said middle class was said like 15 times.
Yeah.
Right. And Mitt said it like almost every time
because
yeah.
he was trying to make a point to try to get on our side.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which what he wants to do is completely opposite.
I'm sorry, Tony, go ahead.
No, I was just going to throw, I actually posted on Facebook, I think, during the debates, you know somebody doesn't know anyone who's poor, and they've never been poor, because of the way they pronounce the word poor. It's not poor. It's poor. Or if you've been poor, it's po.
Yeah.
So just the way that he was saying poor was just like, oh my gosh, this guy's serious.
Yeah. One other angle that I want to kind of talk a little bit about is the voter suppression and that sort of angle, the whole race card, that sort of thing. You had a lot of the right side conservatives last week who came out and talked about a video of the president that resurfaced from 5 years ago that apparently showed him speaking to a group of black people at Hampton University on the heels of Hurricane Katrina, saying things about how the government didn't come and take care of them because, you know, he suggested that it was because they were black. And he talked about how the Florida folks who had been hit by a hurricane got their money quickly. What I thought was odd, and I just want to hit this real quick and then we'll move on to another segment, but I wanted to bring this up because it speaks to how they try really, really hard to try to throw dirt on this dude, and it just sometimes doesn't stick. When you had Tucker Carlson, who is a conservative pundit, who talked about, he was on Hannity, and he said that he knows that it was not reported widely when this came out in '07. He knows. You want to know how he knows? Because he reported it back then. I mean, really, think about that for a second. We know that when that came out, there were a lot of people who had issues with how the government took care of New Orleans. And that speech was covered by pretty much the big 4 or 5 or how many, Fox and CBS, all of them covered it. But now it's come back out. They're trying to throw the race card at the president. What's the deal? And Corey, Carl, I'm going to start with you on this one. What's the deal with the fact that the black president shouldn't be able to speak to the black people? You know, the whole angry black man thing. I didn't get your comment on that. Is there a reason or is there a problem? Is it okay for black people to vote for him because he's black?
I think that Steve Harvey said it best. Somebody asked him, was he going to vote for Obama because he was black? Well, you know, for years, I voted for the other guy because he was white.
Yeah.
I didn't have a choice.
Right. Right.
Why not give me that choice? Why not give me that option? I'm not an angry black man. I can be. I just feel that this time, regardless of the color of this man's skin, he has my best interest at heart. Bill Clinton, quote unquote, was a brother to some people, but he was white. I voted for him. I couldn't vote for President Carter. I like Carter. I like Reagan. Yes, I will say I like that Republican candidate right there. But why is it a race issue? If we get past a race issue, the man has my best interest at heart. That's how I see it.
Well, when we talk about a race issue, I'll throw this out there. When we look at the disrespect that some perceive to have been thrown at the president, you had John Sununu, who called the president lazy. We know that's a code word that's typically been attached to black men. Lazy. He pretty much called him everything but shiftless and lazy. We got Congressman Joe Wilson, who screamed out, "You lie," on the Congress floor during a speech being given by the president. You got Governor Jan Brewer, who got in his face and waved her finger at him. You've seen nooses, like there was, right after the Clint Eastwood thing, you saw chairs hanging from trees with nooses. You had the whole Bertha issue, with the whole, he's, sitting in this black man's church and he's listening to him spew these racial epithets, talking about Reverend Wright. How can we vote for this angry black man? Or you got all of these kinds of things. Big bro, I'm going to come to you on this one. What's your thoughts on the perceived disrespect that's been thrown at the black president that may not have been thrown at his white predecessors? Is there really a race card at hand here?
Let's just be point blank. Number one, you would have never seen, and this is me, you would never have seen a white candidate or a white president ever disrespected the way Barack Obama has been disrespected in his tenure as president, period.
Is there, Tony, is there a personal, and you can piggyback on what he said in the comment that I just made, but is this somehow personal against President Obama, or is it just par for the course for the president?
Well, I absolutely agree with Joe. I mean, if our president was not black, then no, those things never would have been said. If the president, say Hillary Clinton, had won the presidency, there probably would have been some sort of slurs thrown at her as well.
Sexist.
But absolutely, just that minority factor, I think it would be a factor. It would be an issue.
There are
but
some
it would
people,
not have been. It wouldn't have been tolerated had someone even tried.
Right. So you think
right.
that the attacks, the racial attacks, because we can call a spade a spade. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these attacks have been racially influenced. So you think that the attacks on a Jewish president, a Catholic president, a female president, the attacks would be the same, but the tolerance would be different, which is the reason why the perception of the president getting it worse is the way it is?
Pretty much, yes.
Big Rube, when you hear this, you hear people say that I only voted for him because he was black. There are a lot of people who have said that, and I'll be honest with you. I'm one of those people who was more inclined to vote for him because he was black. I wanted him to be good, but let's keep it real. We had Herman Cain, ain't nobody voting for him. We had Reverend Al Sharpton, wasn't a lot of people voting for him. You had Jesse Jackson. Wasn't nobody voting for him. So you got a whole lot. And Jesse, of course, we know one South Carolina, which was a democratically black state. But be that as it may, is it okay to vote for him because he's black? Or do you specifically, as a black man, only look for the issues?
I look for the issues. Him being black, to me, wasn't really a issue. I think that he said what I need to hear. He said what I wanted to hear, and I felt like he was the next person for the job. I didn't think that the other person was horrible, but when it's all said and done, you know, he spoke to me. Well, not spoke to me, but when he was speaking, I felt like he was speaking to me. So that's why I voted for him.
Big bro.
I'm going to just wrap what I had to say with this one. It doesn't make a big deal of difference what you feel. You made the point that it's my right to be able to vote for who I want to. And in the Constitution is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that's what I wanted to do, whether he was black, purple, pink, or green. And that's what I would have done. So I agree totally. If you want to vote for him because he's black, guess what?
Go for it.
Go for it.
In Colorado, there's been a video that has surfaced of a woman who was registering only Romney voters. She claimed to be sent by the county clerk. The GOP, of course, we know they're leading the task of voter ID, the voter ID laws and issues, of course, with regards to the presidential election historically has been minuscule. You've even had GOP members who've already come out and said that voter ID laws and voter suppression are going to help Mitt Romney win the White House. So, Tony, I'm going to start with you on this one. You got this woman who is caught on video only registering people who will vote for Romney. And she gets busted by someone who she didn't identify who she was voting for, but she made it clear that she wasn't happy about that. How do you feel about the GOP actually taking it there? They took it there.
It's funny that you mentioned this story. One of my coworkers actually asked me last week if I'd gotten my voter registration card and if it indicated my party affiliation on the card. And I was surprised to hear that a lot of people have that on there. So to me, that's like that red flag is up because it's already starting. I wonder how they get that information, and if so, I mean, to me that's blatant.
Right.
They're already steering people,
Right.
in the directions that they want them to go, or at least those votes that they want to put up on the boards on election day.
Right. You know what is upsetting to me? Anybody that knows me knows that I am an independent. And Tony, when we began this subject, this segment, you started off by mentioning how I try very hard to present things in a balanced and fair way. And that's important to me because if I found a Republican who I felt had my best interest at heart, I would vote for them. That's just me. Have I seen one lately? No, I haven't. But that's just me. But there is a very strong perceived from black people. There's a strong perceived racially charged element in the Republican Party. I had a friend of mine, a friend of ours, who I'll tell you who off the air, a friend that we share, you and I, who was upset with me personally because of some of the things that I have said publicly with regards to the Republican Party. And my comment, and this person says, I am a Republican and I am not racist. And I've spent time with her. You've spent time with her. You know her like I know her. She's not a racist person. She's a Republican who feels strongly about the Republican policies. My issue with her and her party is that there is a very strong racist contingent in that party that seems to rise above some of the others. Republican State Representative John Hubbard of Jonesboro, Arkansas, is one of these people who has suggested that slavery was good for black people. And he says, quote, "The institution of slavery that the black race has long believed to be an abomination upon its people may actually have been a blessing in disguise. The blacks who could endure those conditions and circumstances would someday be rewarded with citizenship in the greatest nation ever established upon the face of this earth." End quote. Republican State Congressman John Hubbard of Arkansas. So, Carlton Banks, I'm going to start with you first. We're going to all go around the room, give our thoughts on the subject really quick, and then Big Rube is going to give us the results of the test we took earlier. Carlton?
Come back to me because I got to read that one more time so I can absorb.
Big Rube, your thoughts on that?
Dude, it's crazy. I understand where he's coming from, but to make a statement so outlandish like that, he should be smacked in the face just for stupidity.
Big bro, what's your thoughts on that?
I'm just heated by the fact that somebody would actually come out their face and they allow him to be represented somewhere.
Well, a lot of people voted for him. Or else he wouldn't be a congressman. Tony, what's your thoughts?
Well, and that was my point. I wasn't surprised at all by his comments. I was just a little taken aback by the fact that he actually wrote them in a book while he's still in office.
Right.
Got
Call
some
back.
great people out here.
Okay, so if I'm understanding him correctly, if you're a slave, you should be happy to know that your grandchildren and great-grandchildren will one day become citizens. So in other words, let's go ahead and make the whole country of Mexico our slaves so they can eventually become citizens. Is that what he's saying?
It sounds like that's kind of...
But he's using black from basically our...
Well, he's speaking to black people. He's not speaking to Mexicans. I understand the analogy that you're making, but yeah, I mean, here's the thing. You know, I've already kind of made my point clear with regards to that. I mean, do I think all Republicans are racist? No. Do I think all Democrats have the best interest for minorities at hand? No. You're going to have good and you're going to have bad on either side. Red or blue, blood or cuz, just don't matter. That's quoting Ice-T from Colors. But it's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have the same thing because to me, you got wolves and foxes who are both dogs. And dogs want to bite you. You got wolves who are going to come right out and just bite your ass. And you're going to have foxes that are going to try to be slick about it. You know, pick your poison. My issue is when you see the Republican Party, you don't always see the good, honest, hardworking Republicans who just happen to have a different take on how the country should be run from people on the left side. Those are not the people who are the people that we see. What we see are people like this congressman. What we see are people like Rush Limbaugh. And what we see are people who are saying these things that are so overtly offensive that, you know, it's easy to attach the racist type of stigma upon them. So that's pretty much all I'm going to say on that. Big bro.
Hey, hence, I'll go back to what we talked about earlier as far as Barack being concerned. Barack, guess what? He didn't allow that to filter in and draw his focus away from what he knows that he's doing correctly.
Right.
We could have easily become those angry black men
Right.
that everybody's so fearful of.
Right.
But he didn't. He downplayed that, and he let the facts speak for themselves.
Big Rube, we're going to go ahead and end the segment by getting the results to the questions that we started off this segment on. Go ahead, Big Rube.
All right. Briefly, just go through the answers. Abortion, Obama's pro-choice, Romney's pro-life. Balance the budget, support reducing defense spending. Yes, Obama. No, Romney. Balance budget, you support an income tax increase. Yes, Obama. No, Romney. In order to balance budget, you support reducing Medicaid spending. No, Obama. Yes, Romney. Balancing budget administrative. Obama didn't really answer that question. Romney said yes. Economy, do you support federal spending as means of promoting economic growth? Yes, Obama. No, Romney. Support providing tax incentives to business for purpose of job creation and support spending on infrastructure projects for the purpose of job creation. Yes, for both. Education, you support requiring states to implement education reforms in order to be eligible for competitive federal grants. Yes, Obama. No, Romney. Do you support the federal regulation of greenhouse gas emissions? Yes, Obama. No, Romney. Reducing restrictions on offshore energy production? No, Obama. Yes, Romney. Support the United States combat operation in Afghanistan? Do you support targeting suspected terrorists outside official theaters of conflict? Yes, for both. Guns, do you support restrictions on the purchase and possession? Yes, Obama. No, Romney. Do you support repealing the 2010 Affordable Care Act? Of course, no, Obama. Yes, Romney. Should individuals be required to purchase health insurance as mandated in that CARE Act? Yes, Obama. No, Romney, which was actually interesting. Immigration. Illegal immigrants return to their country before being eligible for citizenship. No, Romney. Yes, Obama. Excuse me. No, Obama. Yes, Romney. Same-sex marriage. Yes, Obama. No, Romney. Social Security taxes into personal retirement accounts. No, Obama. Yes, Romney. End of that. Interesting stuff from us. Very surprising, actually, for some and not for others. I'll go with myself first. 5 of my questions for yes for Romney, 9 Obama, 4 both, and neither for 1.
So generally, based on the answers, because I want to try to get to the crux of it.
Mm-hmm.
When we look at the issues,
Mm-hmm.
if we could go around and we'll start with you,
Mm-hmm.
do you more so agree with Romney or Obama? Let's just do it like that.
More so with Obama.
Okay. What about Joe?
Joe is interesting.
Just generally, does he more so agree with one or the other?
He's actually in the middle, but 1 more for Romney.
One more from Romney. What about Tony?
Tony and you were clear out the gate Obama.
Okay.
Not like double digits. It
Okay.
wasn't even funny.
Okay. What about Carlton?
Banks was Obama barely
Okay.
by 2.
Okay. So pretty much the general consensus is the room is pro Obama. The closest that Romney would get is potentially Big Rube and Carlton Banks. Big Bruh and Carlton Banks. Okay. So but the 3 of us, Tony, Big Rube, and Marcus J, are pretty clearly pro Obama. That's interesting. So
I'm
not
gonna
really
try to throw this online,
not
too.
not really interesting because if you ask me, it's pretty clear that I'm pro Obama. I have no qualms about saying that. If I felt that Mitt Romney was someone that I could vote for, I'd vote for him. I don't think he's somebody that I could vote for. So we'll leave it there. Ain't no Steppin. Marcus J gonna take our final break of the night. Come back with our rants and our closes. Marcus J and Steppin. Be back in a minute.